flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty and everlasting God, who presides over all things in heaven and earth, come and preside over these deliberations so that those that make the decisions may be guided by your wisdom.
Okay, Mr. Velasco.
Here.
Mr. Brooks.
Here.
Ms. Gilbert. Mr. Barre.
Here.
Mr. Barre. Also in attendance tonight is Controller Darren Snyder, Administrator Greg Baruch, filling in for Fire Chief Jay Delaney is Assistant Chief Alan Clappett, Director of Operations Butch Brody, Finance Director Brett Kittrick, Police Commander John Kerham, and City Attorney Tim Henry. I think that's it. Also is in attendance Assistant City Clerk Catherine Payne and Administrative Assistant Lisa Sanfilippo. Does anyone from the public wish to comment on legislation pending before council tonight? Okay. We're going to the order of business. Consent agenda resolutions, motion second and vote.
Second.
Mr. Velasco.
Yes.
Mr. Brooks.
Yes.
Ms. Gilbert.
Yes.
Mr. Barre.
Yes.
And Mr. Barre.
Yes.
Motion passes. And it's just one single ordinance today. Motion second and vote. Mike? Second? Mike? Mr. Velasco?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Ms. Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Barre?
Yes.
And Mr. Barre? Yes. Motion passes also.
Ms. Gilbert, anything for us to?
Yeah, there's just one issue. I guess we've been having issues of parking around a lot of the schools around the city. By Heights Elementary, I had a few complaints from the residents that they could not park in their own permanent parking spots when school was getting let out because parents picking their kids up from school are parking those spots. I brought it up before, but they're still having the same issues, so I don't know if there's anything else that we can do to remedy that, or, looks like. And they're also having a lot of issues with weather there. Getting out of school, but you probably be better off with contact with the district and see what they can do, if they can just notify the administration of the school, if they have an announcement.
You can pass it on to the police to get parking enforcement there around 2:30s, 3-ish.
Elementary, so that's great.
2:30 to 3:30. Good parking enforcement.
Mr. Velasco? The only thing I have, Greg, is we have a lot of people traveling Old River Road. There's not one stop sign from the corner of Dagobert to the river. And there are so many people that speed on that street. I would hope that the police department maybe get a couple cruisers down there to slow it down. Or maybe we put a stop sign or so on Old River Road.
Okay, I'll see if we can get police enforcement first. You know, trying to send a message that way.
Right.
And as far as a stop sign, that'll go in front of the traffic committee.
Right. Okay.
So we'll see if that works.
Yeah, we can go with the police. It's, I mean, it's a lot of kids there along the road, right by the school.
And it's at all different times, there's no specific time for that.
It is. Basically, it's after school, when most of the kids come out of Myers, and actually the buses, believe it or not, the school buses coming out of Kistler. And I'm I'm not the only one thinking this way. There's so many people on Old River Road that have said it to me.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Brooks?
I just have one question for the administration, or just alerting. I've been reading a lot about Act 90, which is tools the state government has given municipalities around blighted properties. And in a lot of recent meetings of resident associations, the number one topic that's been coming up over and over again is what to do with blighted properties. So I just want to know if the administration is aware of Act 90 and how we can implement it here in Wilkes-Barre, anything we do to help.
Yeah, and with that, it allows us to place the liens on their other personal property if they live outside of the state. And we'll also give us extradition rights to bring them back. And I know that's one thing that Mayor George has spoken about already that he wants to do, so we'll continue looking into it.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Nothing new to see.
The only thing I have is actually for Butch. Good to see you. Thank you for Tuesday's presentation and the information provided on, the road projects. The other question I had is, I know that we start looking early in the year at road construction projects. And is it not too early for us to get some of the concerns in our particular areas that we're familiar with to you, or would it definitely? You probably know which ones I have, but.
Yes, no, it's never too early, Councilman. We are actually looking at some areas right now. There's some plans that we do some streets for community development. We actually have a project out already, hero paving program. However, that is just some streets in the city, downtown vicinity. Definitely, anything you may have, you can go on to Greg, we'll move on, or however you want to handle it.
Whatever's easier, you can forward to both of us.
If you're doing any, I don't know if you're doing any patching, supposed to be a couple of 1 days, I think, just South Street and East End and Parsons.
Okay. Yeah, we were out, we had some people out today, and probably be out tomorrow.
The South End spots look like they're done, but I guess they need to do on the roadways. Okay, that's all for us.
Mr. Jerome?
Good evening. Mr. Angel Terrell, 47 Minor Street. Just to bring everyone up to date, and city council members who are not present, Martin Luther King, I made a vow that day that I will quote Dr. King every time in session to keep the discussions going for Dr. King Day. Again, we cannot allow this to happen at the last minute as we continue to do it, because once again, it divides this community, so this has to be ongoing. And this is the responsibility of the city council. I'm going to address something that last time city council, Beth, I think you asked Mr. Greg Brew, the city council had to do anything with Dr. King. I think Greg says, no, it's only the mayor and the unions. No, you're elected officials. You have opinions on Dr. King Day. You went out and got votes because you stood on a platform. I want to hear next time, and hopefully, when I come to this desk, how many of you agree with Dr. King or not? I need to hear city council's voice. But too often you're quiet, and that's a problem. So I will quote Dr. King. Whatever career you may choose for yourself, doctor, lawyer, teacher, let me propose an application to be pursued along with this. Become a dedicated fighter for civil rights. Make it a central part of your life. It will make you a better doctor, a better lawyer, a better teacher. It will enrich your spirit as nothing else probably can. It will give you that rare sense of nobility that can only spring from love and satisfactory helping your fellow man. Make a career of humanity. Commit yourself to the noble struggle for human rights. You will make a greater person of yourself, a greater nation, of your country, and a finer world to live in. Dr. King. On final note, again, as you've heard me say often, one of the things as I travel to many cities, and one thing that comes very clear, a community that's not worked together does not live together. So again, by the man not being here, again, as quite said by Greg Baruch, city council is only limited. So when we come here this evening, there's many of us who can't come here during the day to see the mayor. And this is the crucial time that we can meet the mayor, city council, and at times we need answers that can't wait for the next day. I can't speak for everyone, but I can't speak for myself. And you know that many issues I deal with can't wait for days and weeks. I need maybe discuss with the mayor when I approach here. Because again, you know, we deal with situations, not only me, but other people in the community, that we do a lot of your legwork for you. So all we ask is when we do this, that the mayor is here. Because you can only go back and tell them what we said, and too many times that is diluted. You don't have the passion in your eyes that we do when we say, look, we want this to be done. So again, I hope that the mayor reconsiders this. I hope the city council is vocal on this issue. But again, I forgot to ask, and I will always ask, Mr. Greg Group, where are we with the negotiations with the unions on Dr. King Day?
Are you finished with your presentation?
I thought my presentation, I could ask him a question while I still have minutes, and I'm just asking a question.
Back and forth, I'm sure we'll-
Okay. Okay, I'll keep talking until, okay. I'm done. Do I get an answer?
Sure. It's exactly what I said in the last meeting. It is a priority of Mayor George's. He's already opened up discussions with one of the unions. 3 of the union contracts are up at the end of the year. So I think he's trying to get through the budget process first. Once that's done, then he'll go through, and have further discussions with the unions.
And end of the year has what date on it? End of the year meaning what? Is it November, the contract?
End of the year, December 31st.
You know that Dr. King is January the next month. See, that's my fear that we're gonna.
Negotiations will start as early, we've already begun with several unions, and it's come up. So, as with any negotiation, it's, you plead your side, you wait to hear their side, and you go forward that way.
Okay, thank you. No, please.
Thank you. Dr. Hosky?
John Sahosky, embarrassed to be from Wilkes-Barre. We just had Martin Luther King Day, and as Angela just said, the city still hasn't, paid their workers, closed City Hall for that day. I was there at the ceremony. I don't see what the issue is. Like, there was a vote on this in 2014, and then nobody ever spoke about it again. Like, this has just been pushed back for years and years and years. I lived here my whole life. My grandmother was telling me about that. My grandfather, in the protested against this in the 90s. Like, said something, and nobody cared. I don't think you guys will do anything. At least the guys have been here. Ms. Gilbert, at that ceremony, you said that you were inspired by Dr. King, but you never mentioned that we should have it a holiday. I just think that you guys got to take an active approach, even if you can't do anything voting, just mention it, talk about it, just keep talking about it so people, puts pressure on other people to do something about it, because that's the only way we're gonna get change is pressure, because it's been like this for so long, and obviously there's people that have been here that don't care, that didn't, never really seen it as a problem. Okay, I'm gonna be here, I'll speak about Martin Luther King Day as well, every time I'm here till something's changed. If it comes up next year, and City Hall's still open, I'm gonna have some kind of protest, so just could not do anything about it, but I'm gonna have a plan for next year, so I'm gonna try and embarrass you guys, basically, so this building needs to be closed that day. I'm gonna switch topics. I'd like to go back to I'd like you guys to try to put this on the ballot for referendum to go back to at-large elections for the city council. I think that, since you changed this new system, the neighborhoods have gotten worse. Like, you have people in each neighborhood, but the neighborhoods haven't gotten any better. It hasn't been working. Like, progressively, since you guys changed this system, but it's been getting worse and worse and worse. I think you need more people in different areas. I think if you have a good idea for a different neighborhood that you don't work in, like Mr. Brooks had the idea for business districts and neighborhoods. Like, I can think of different neighborhoods that's not in his district that same format would also work with. Like, Hazel Street, that's a great spot. I'm not sure the street, but where the Golden Palace is up by North End, you can see that was a business district at one time. Like, say Mr. Brooks implemented that plan up in that area, then he couldn't receive votes from those people because he's not in that certain district, but he, there's less of incentive for other people to help other districts, and even if they do, it can hurt them, you not get a benefit from that, for helping somebody else's district. I think everybody should represent the whole city and not be a certain district where you have to worry about your voters. I think that should just totally be changed. Like, you have the District A fund, like Barney Farms Park and Minor Park have beautiful parks because of that District A fund, and they're within walking distance of each other. Then, like where I live by Almond Lane, Mayflower's a mess. There's no park, there's no good basketball court except for Cole Street, or you have to go all the way down to Minor Park. That's the only good basketball courts in that area. I just think that like the District A fund's good for District A, but it didn't help anybody else. The rest of the city's parks suffered. My area's parks suffered for sure. I'd like to mention about the wall on Bank Street. If somebody could take a look at that, because it's falling apart. It's going to fall down. It's going to fall into the street. It's been not taken care of for 15 or 20 years. And, there's big chunks that are just falling out. I also want to go to the change of the format of the meetings. Like Angel was trying to talk back and forth. It's simple just to be able to talk back and forth. I think you should allow back and forth just so because you could get your message back and forth a little easier. Then you have to want to say something and they won't let you say it back, and then you have to wait 2 weeks to get your point across when you could have just got your point across in 5 seconds. And it won't make the meetings that much longer. I think you should also extend the time a little bit. Just make it more of a conversation and less talking at people. That's all I have. Thank you.
I have a couple comments on that. As far as speaking at Martin Luther King Day, obviously I do believe that we should have it as a holiday. I mean, I've been vocal about that. Angel knows that I fully support what you guys are saying about Martin Luther King Day, and I don't want you guys to think that I don't support that as a holiday, because I think it's embarrassing that we don't have it as a holiday. Also, as far as representation goes, we each do work for a district. We represent a district, but we do try and help every resident in the city regardless of where you live. Also, on your point on Mayflower Park, I am working on trying to fix Mayflower Park. That was one of the discussions that we had at the Residents Association meeting. That was a big issue with a lot of the residents, so we are working on that. I don't want you to think that it was forgotten about.
We went down there when we were running, we talked about it.
So we are working on that. Probably more likely towards the spring, there'll be more progress on it, but I don't want you to think that that was forgotten by any means.
And John, as far as these district funds and the districts go, I wanted to create one for District B. I believe Beth wants to do for District C. We want to encourage it. If the districts don't exist, that's okay. Those funds become whatever the name of the predominant neighborhood is in that as well. And there are just fundraising mechanisms to help private people give money to.
But shouldn't they just be, instead of having it shouldn't just be a Wilkes-Barre fund and do all the parks? Like, it shouldn't be about a certain area, it should be about everybody's parks. Like, go look at the bog, those tennis courts are abysmal. Like, that's such a wasted, huge area of a park that's just wasted, that nobody's looked at that park in 10 years, nobody's gone up there and checked it out and said, came here to these meetings and say, hey, this park probably needs a little bit of love. No, nobody cares about like, there's a lot of parks like that, the whole park system in general.
At the work session, I talked about having the park commission and tree commission resurrected. One of the reasons why I want to see that happen is this commission itself could go find money and raise money for the park.
You can do leagues, you can do lots of things, just to get people into the parks, because they're so underused, and it's such a big space, like Mayflower Park, or not Mayflower Park, but the baseball field, that just sat there the whole summer. The most that thing got used was people and their dogs running around.
Going back and forth, but I wanted to just check with, Butch, the parks, and I know that it's also the time of year that we start evaluating what needs to be done in our parks for spring, is that not correct?
That's correct.
Can you tell us a bit about how that process works?
Well, all these are great ideas, but one thing it takes is money to do this. We did 3 parks last year. We did Francis Slocum Park, we did Casey Park, and also Parsons Park. Those parks cost the city of Wilkes-Barre around $500,000 for 3 parks. We try to maintain it as best we can, but when you talk about funds like the District A fund and having a District C fund, the people in District A got together and built and made that happen. That's need to do. And they raise money in that district. So if District 8 has the initiative to do that, why not everywhere else? Create a fund, build the park, fix the park, clean the park. The city of Wilkes-Barre, honestly, it takes a lot of money to do these parks the right way. They gotta be ADA accessible, anymore, they've got to meet certain criteria for safety, for children, and when you do that, the Slocum Park up on Penn Avenue, beautiful park, have you seen that lately?
Yeah,
That
course, yeah, brand new.
Again, that was about $200,000 for the park. You may not think that much, that much money, but that's how much it was. So multiply that by the 17 parks that the city has to do, and you can see where the challenge is. We can only do so much. Last year we spent a multitude of money on just maintenance of the park. I don't have the dollar figure, but you can remember we spent a lot of money, a lot of time, and we'll do it again. Each park needs to be evaluated every year, and there's priorities out there. Mayflower is one of them, but there are others. Madison Park, that's a priority. So where this money comes from right now, I couldn't tell you, but we are looking at evaluating it. Last year we used community development funds. If there's money available there, we'll do our best to get them to where they should be. And I'm with you. They're underutilized, and many of them are very poor condition.
Thank you, John, for bringing that up. Mr. Walsh? I don't know if Steve's hooked up there, the way it's sitting there, it doesn't look like there's no microphone there or anything, you probably better operate, you can stand.
How about I stand over to the side?
Fine, right there.
I don't want you to hit some work here, miss a word I say. First, I want to congratulate the new members of council, and I wish you well. The reason for my attendance standing is because I believe it gives the opportunity for the speaker and the people to witness each other. I think that's important. And when these members seated here in the back, when they're asking questions, so on and so forth, they should stand out of respect and answer the question, not to an individual, but to the general public. The same with the councilman. You have a private conversation back and forth with one another instead of addressing us, we the people. This is a forum, it's not a social gathering. Time permitting, I'm going to ask each member of council to give a report regarding events in each of their districts. That should be a mandate. When you come here, you give a report as to what has taken place in your district. We should have the right to know what's going on in our city. I'm going to take this time now, and I want you to listen to it very carefully. It's a poem written by Lawrence Bancroft, and it's titled, Just a Common Soldier. A soldier died today. He was getting old and paunchy, and his hair falling out fast. And he sat around the Legion telling stories of the past, of a war he had fought in and the deeds he had done. In his exploits with his buddies, they were heroes, every one. And though sometimes his neighbors, his tales became a joke, all his Legion buddies listened, for they knew from where he spoke. But we'll hear this letter no longer, for old Bill has passed away. And the world's a little poorer, for a soldier died today. He will not be mourned by many, just his children and his wife, for he lived an ordinary and uneventful life. Held a job and raised a family,
quietly going his own way, and the world wouldn't know his passing, though not a soldier died today. Though a soldier died today. When politicians leave this earth, their bodies lie in state, while thousands note their passing and say that they were great. Papers tell their whole life stories from the time they were young, but the passing of a soldier goes unnoticed and unsung. It is the greatest contribution to the welfare of our land, a guy who breaks his promise and cons his fellow man, or the ordinary fellow who in time of war and strife goes off to serve his country and offers up his life. Appalling stipend and the style in which he lives are sometimes disproportionate to the service that he gives. While the ordinary soldier who offered up his all is paid off with a medal and perhaps a pension small. It's so easy to forget them, for it was so long ago that all the old bills of our country went to battle, but we know. It was not the politicians with their compromised employees who won for us the freedom that our country now enjoys. Should you find yourself in danger with your enemies at hand, will you want a politician with his ever-shifting stand? Or will you prefer a soldier who is sworn to defend his home, his kin, and country, and would fight until the end? He was just a common soldier, and his ranks are growing thin. But his presence should be reminded us that we may need his life again. But when countries are in conflict, then we find the soldier's part is to clean up all the troubles that politicians start. We cannot do him honor while he's here to hear the praise. Then at least let's give him homage at the end of his days. Perhaps just a simple headline in a paper that would say, our country is in mourning, for a soldier died today. Something to think about. But I really, really, truly wish that there would be more information coming forth from this body. We're here to exchange viewpoints and ideas for the betterment of the community, not for our own selfish gain.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Wall.
again, you have microphones here, you don't use them. I have poor hearing, and that's unfortunate. But when you speak to the mic through the microphone, to the people. Not turn to some person back here or to your side. To the people.
Mr. Wall.
That's who you're addressing, the people.
I'm gonna stop you right there, but I do appreciate your comments about speaking. We'll take them, certainly into consideration. And, thank you for reading the poem, and, anybody else, council, any comments? Bruce?
And Mr. Walsh, you want a report on
What's that?
You want a report on what I have done as a council member over the last month?
I'm sorry, but my hearing got the best.
You want a report on what I have done as a council member over the last
Yes,
month?
and give it to the people,
Sure.
not just to me.
I absolutely agree. I mean, we're all very busy and
I think that should come from all
sure. Well, as you know, you've actually attended, so I've attended 3 different resident association meetings within the last month. I would say I had 2 to 3 phone calls every day from constituents. Both Beth and I gave remarks at the Martin Luther King holiday here at City Hall. And I would say every single night, there is 1 to 2 different cultural or community events that I attend. I wouldn't say on behalf of the city, but on behalf of just getting to know everyone in the neighborhoods. There have been series of meetings on the budget here with the mayor and the mayor's staff and the administration that I have attended as well. So it's quite a lot of work to do, Mr. Walsh, and I will report to you every time you come to the meeting and ask. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Vernon?
Council, Jim Burton, 58 Top Street, Wilkes-Barre. Okay, I only have a couple things real quick. First of all, congratulations to the new council members that are here. And, okay, real quick, Beth, on the parking around the school. Wilkes-Barre Police is starting to do a good job around there. They're taking in the hell out of them. Okay, up and down East Northampton Street, they're getting them, Greg. They're double parking, boom, Collins is right there. He's telling them to wait there, I'll take care of you right now, ma'am. And he's writing tickets. He has them 3-4 in a line on Northampton Street. So they're getting them, finally. But, okay, then that. Okay. Going back years, our mayor has always been here at these council meetings. I read that article in the paper the other day. I agree with you, he should be here, right? She made it in her comment that the mayor should be here at these council meetings. The mayor's always been here at the council meeting. He says the fire chief should be here, and he said the police chief should be here. When he was the police chief, he wasn't here, but he's making the new one be here. Mayors have always been here. And he's saying, I'm not going to be here. Well, who is he? He was put in here by the people. And the other mayors going back, all the way back to Namey and before him, sat in that chair and listened to the people, like they were saying. You have a gripe, now they got to wait for what, a month before they get his answer? No. He needs to be here because we put him in this office. We need him here. Council, get on him, get him here every 2 weeks for these meetings. Everybody else is there. He sat right there and looked over at the mayor and told the mayor when he needed something and when he wanted to speak his mind, he looked right over at the ex-mayor and he told him off. Now, he's not going to be here to listen to the new council and to you people. I don't think it's right. Because now he's going to hide behind a door where you people can't speak your mind to him in front of everybody else like he did to Tommy, to Mr. Layton. No. Let him sit here and take the bullets like Layton did. He needs to be here. That's what he's getting paid for. He's getting paid to take it like everybody else did over the years. He needs to hear what we have to say to him, not us come to his office and say, well, this is what we have to say. And then he's going to try to smooth it over. No. Come here, listen to what we have to say, and that's the name of that tune. That's what he's getting paid for. Get here, hear what we have to say. We're the people who put him in office. The city's what put him in office. We're the ones, he wants to raise our taxes. Let us hear what we have to say about that. You know, he's telling us that he's going to raise taxes, he's going to do this and do that. When he was out on a campaign, you didn't hear nothing about raising taxes. Now he's going to want to raise taxes. Well, come here, tell us why. Don't just say you're going to raise taxes because of the budget and this, that, and everything else. Come here, tell us why, explain, and let us know why he's doing it. Don't say, well, come to a work session. No, let us hear it here. You know, and let the body decide. You know, my brother was in Augusta, Georgia. You think the five people on the council decides? No, they put it up on a referendum if there's going to be a tax hike. They let the people decide if there's going to be a tax hike, not the 5 council. You sit there and you decide, you know, okay, we need to raise taxes. Let's put it on a referendum and the people speak. The people say, okay, we're going to raise it 5 mils. We're going to raise it 10 mils. You don't decide, okay, we're going to raise it this much. We're going to raise it that much. The people decide. Let's get everything in order. Let's get all our ducks in one pond. Get him back out here where he belongs. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to let him say, well, I'm going to let my chief of police here. I'm going to let my chief of fire department here. I'm going to let Greg Baruch here and let Greg take it. You know? No, let him here. Let him take it. That's what he's getting paid for. Why should Greg take the bullets for him? Okay?
And maybe I'm gonna jump ahead of everyone else, but I don't think there's anyone here that would disagree that it is advantageous to have the mayor here. Over the years, we could turn, talk to the mayor directly, just as you could. A lot of times, things got resolved much quicker. I think that we're all in agreement with that. We like to get answers as quickly as you like to get them as well. And it is wonderful, not that we don't see or speak to the mayor, or we can't any other time, but it is a whole lot easier in this particular forum to reach out when there are issues that come to our attention right here. So I don't think there's anyone here that's disagreeing with what you're saying.
Whenever there was a problem, it was settled here. Now it's gonna take, what, a month, 2 months to get, like you said, you know?
And we're very happy to have these people here as well. They're very knowledgeable in their particular departments.
Right.
And most of the time can get us an answer, but a lot of times there's things administratively that the mayor has to make the decision. And you come here for that very purpose. And it is a whole lot easier in the evening for a lot of residents to get here, not 2 o'clock in the afternoon, come here after work, and it's nice for them to be able to see them here as well. So I think I'm speaking for everyone here. If anyone disagrees, let me know, but we find it advantageous as well. So I'm not disagreeing with you there. Not that we do disagree with you very often.
But, you know, I mean, you know, I think I'm speaking for everybody, but, you know, I mean, council, you can take it back to them, everybody take it back to them and say, hey, you know,
I'm sure we'll get back.
you know, I'm sure I'll hear from them too about it.
Thank you. Mr. Matt Ford?
Matthew Ford, Oak Street. Thank you, Jim Burton, couldn't have said anything better than that. I do want to thank council for how they've handled their responsibilities over the past couple of weeks, and especially with 3 new members coming on board. It's absolutely astounding, how well-versed you guys already are. Seems like every day each member of council brings something new to the table to kind of work on. I did want to touch base on 2 of those issues real quick. Ms. Gilbert brought up during the work session an issue of a contracting bill that dealt with donations to candidates and then subsequently the city contracts being held up. 2 issues that were holding that up. One was a preamble that needed to be written, basically why the city's doing it. The state likes to see that. Number 2 was they wanted to get a little bit more clear language on the subcontractors and whether or not their donations would count against them for that. Mr. Brooks brought up Act 90, and another important facet of that one is that we can also, if I'm not mistaken, again, have your legal team look into it, make sure everything's correct, but if I'm not mistaken, it also gives us the ability to deny permits to landlords who are out of code. And as we have a lot of out-of-town landlords who are buying up more and more properties, they will need permits to get those going, and we could possibly stymie some of that growth there. So both of those are very good ideas. I originally came up here to talk about the budget, and as you know, that's going to be building over the next couple of weeks, so I kind of wanted to get a couple early comments based on some things that I was seeing in the newspaper, and I was rather puzzled, most shockingly, that we were trying to take the projection of $1 million from property sale from the city down to $500,000. I find it confusing because last year we were here and the mayor said we're going to get $500,000 from the sale of the city property related to the new hotel being built. So if we already get that $5,000 or $500,000, and the mayor was a realtor, so he probably had a good idea of what properties we have. Where's the rest of the money? The second issue with the budget is we have all these folks coming in here for these meetings, and definitely has a benefit to be able to quickly get to the department heads. But as we see, Mr. Belushi asked a simple question of getting police officers down on the streets and patrols, and we have to go to Greg to get to the department. So it's not really working functionally. And all these employees are either classified as exempt or non-exempt employees, meaning they get paid overtime, or they do not get paid overtime. If they do get paid overtime, are we paying them overtime to be here? It doesn't seem to add a whole lot of value. And if they don't get paid overtime, I'm sure with the union contract, they probably get an allotment of corresponding hours coming from their regular day. And if so, wouldn't they be better served doing the job here rather than, as Mr. Burton said, getting yelled at by us when that's really the mayor's job? The third issue is
the quick question is, and I've heard that basically, so the former mayor put gas in his own car, whereas this new mayor, he's going to be driving a city vehicle. I hear that this city vehicle is a old police vehicle, but in the new budget, they say we need an extra $250,000 for 5 new police vehicles. My question is, what's wrong with this vehicle, and if it is so dilapidated that it cannot be a police vehicle, do we really want our mayor driving around meeting state representatives and all this stuff in such a dilapidated vehicle? So just, some food for thought on that budget. I'm sure council will be wise as you have been in the past. And also, I forgot at the beginning, but Mr. Fratty, thank you for your presentation. It was very informative. We're very excited about the savings that we're getting with the Johnson's Controls project. So, but if anyone has answers to any of those confusing questions about the budget, I sure would love to hear them.
As you know, and you just alluded to it, there is a public hearing coming up February the 9th. February 9th, so in very short order. And in the interim, and prior to today, we have been looking very closely at some of the concerns, mainly in the revenue lines that Mayor George has mentioned. Council is very much attuned to that, and will continue to work on it. And but I think the really important part, from my perspective, and maybe others, is that public input, the opportunity for you to come and ask those very same questions that you do have concerns about, and hopefully can get those addressed before a final decision is made as to whether there will be an amended budget or whether there won't be an amended budget. So right now, it has not obviously been decided, will not be decided until the public has a chance to input on that. I also heard mention about a referendum, and other states, and depending on the charter and the structure of government, do actually have that in place. I don't know if anyone in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that does occur, and Mr. Henry is acknowledged with that. And I don't see that happening here in our Commonwealth, to my knowledge. So, if you do have your questions, get them ready, and hopefully we can address those at the public meeting. Thank you. Thank you. Gregory Friedhouse. Greg, did I mispronounce your name?
Freitas.
I thought I did. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Greg Freitas, I'm the Vice President of the Local 104 Firefighter Union. I live on Mill Street. I don't really have too much of a statement other than I just have some simple questions. This gentleman back here asked some budget questions. Mine basically revolve around the same thing, and I just have one thing. Why did I have to hear about possible firefighter layoffs through the news media at 5:30 in the afternoon on last Friday? Don't you think that it would be more appropriate to give us a call and let us know what's going on? And there seems to be some questions regarding this $1.8 million repair to the police station. I'm glad we were in there in place needed to be updated, but we've been informed by Mayor Layton that this was in the budget, it was paid last December, and now this current mayor is claiming that it's an emergency repair, we don't have the money for it, so I just want some clarification on that. And the city does plan to lay off firefighters. If we don't get the safer grant that we're actively pursuing right now, how many firefighters does it plan to lay off? And just one more question I have is, it's another budget question regarding the $250,000 in magistrate fines that are owed to the city. I see that the amended budget has a value of 0 on that. We just are not going to go after that, I guess. And that's pretty much it. So if somebody wants to answer those questions, that would be great.
I'm going to ask if you want to answer your concerns, or do you want to
Sure, I'll touch on the magistrate fines. That is something that Luzerne County has to do. They're delinquent magistrate fines. They're not current ones, so it's something that is already owed to the county, which then in turn comes over to the city. Last year, we negotiated with a third-party collection agency to go about doing that on behalf of the county. It's up to the county to sign the contract and then move forward from there. So it's out of our hands, 100%. We are encouraging the county to move forward with it, but it's a projection that there's millions of dollars owed to the city of Wilkes-Barre. Mayor George has just uncomfortable putting that number in there, not knowing if we'll get any.
Just so this is similar to the last time when firefighters were laid off, there was there was property taxes being withheld because of a different tax collection agency, and it was like roughly $300,000. So this is kind of similar as far as that goes, like coming from the county.
No. Yeah, that was earned income tax. There was a holdup with that, so the money just stopped flowing into the city altogether. This is a whole separate line item in the budget where we're going after money that's owed to the city. So the two really don't have anything in common with that. As far as the police repairs, Greg Kittrick, our finance officer, could probably touch on that as far as...
The 1.8 for repairs to the police station was not budgeted for in 15, but it was all paid before year end. So when Mayor George references that, I assume he's just meaning that I created a deficit in 15 for the 2015 fiscal year. But it was all paid. Does that answer your question?
Okay, sure.
It was not budgeted.
So,
Was it through a loan?
So we just had an extra 1.8 million laying around. Is that what you're saying?
Well, if you look at our books right now, it's showing a $3 million deficit for 2015 because the revenue is not flowing in yet. It goes all the way up until May. So we won't know what that exact number is, but that number is projected to be roughly a $1.8 million deficit.
Has the city applied for a tax anticipation note this year?
We did.
For how much?
Was it
3 million. And when do you expect that to come in?
It did.
It did. But we're still $3 million in the hole.
That covers our expenses until the property taxes go out. Normally, they would be out already, right, or this week? Yeah, right around this time they normally go out. However,
Yeah, I already got my tax bill already.
not from the city. You didn't get anything from the city yet. We haven't issued anything from the city because it hasn't been voted on as far as an amended budget.
So any number on the possible layoffs?
I think it's gonna be when the mayor proposes the budget increase, to what increase, or to what number, or if any. I think it's too early to determine any of that.
And why couldn't you just call the union and let us know about this? Why did I have to find this out from another party?
Nothing's set in stone.
Greg, we found out the same way you did.
I'm aware of that,
I've been in touch with the third-party collection company that Greg mentioned a minute ago. They are optimistic that they can work through these little challenges they've started under the last administration doing that. I think that we are going to exhaust every resource and avenue to make sure that we get the revenue that is in the current budget, so that we can avoid those types of situations. You're talking, it's January, long year, and traditionally, as you know, there were budget concerns, correct me if I'm wrong, Greg and Brett are the experts, but they arise at the end of the year, traditionally, when we literally could conceivably run out of money. So it's incumbent upon this council and it's incumbent upon the administration to ensure that that does not happen. We do not want to lose anyone. Firefighters, police officers, or anyone that's in the current administration, but we need to make sure that we are operating as efficiently as we can so that we do not encounter shortfalls at the end of the year. Those revenue lines that are mentioned are going to be spoken much more about, I'm sure, come February 9th. And, but we are well aware where the concerns are that Mayor George has mentioned, and we need to make sure that we address those concerns.
Okay, I just not criticizing the repairs, they need to be made in the police station. I was just, the financial aspect of it, where was the money that was like?
I think there might have been some contingency, correct me again if I'm wrong, some contingency built into emergencies or types of situations in the 2015 budget. We're happy to hear that 1.8 million has been paid. There's not a bill for some type of $1.8 million. Would be good, so.
And the medical insurance has been paid up? That was in the paper, I read about that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Legal matter?
This on it's over Facebook, so you'll be able to find it. If you need any of your answers that you're talking about.
Oh, thank you.
First, I would like to welcome all the new members of council and the continued members. I would like to welcome you back. And I'm here, I have two issues, but first I would like to say the last council meeting that I had attended, Tony George sat here grandstanding about a budget he couldn't read for 20 minutes where I left a class to come to, and I was unable to address this issue that I'm addressing now. And as many of you know, I have over the past year or so have been working with PTAC to actually talk about banning smoking on the concourse at the CMO. I'm not sure how many people actually ride the bus on the council, and if you don't, please make it a point to actually go and try and ride the buses. And you'll see that, you run into the same problem that many of us riders do. There are many of us who do smoke, but there are as many of them that smoke as many that do not smoke. And now that it is cold, there are a lot of smoking in the concourse. But with the exhaust fumes, and because it's cold, the buses do idle, because that helps them to continue to run. With the smoking, Martz has made it a point to ban smoking within so many feet of the doors. So at this point, because I know it was something that was brought up that the previous council was working on, when is it possible to see an actual ban of smoking on the concourse? That's the first one. The second one is parking. And just to let everyone know, I do sit on the Area Agency on Aging's Advisory Board for Luzerne and Wyoming County. And this is another issue that has been dear to my heart, because I actually volunteer in the centers. And one thing that was brought up to me was the fact that at one point there were parking allotted in the parkade across the street. And at one of the previous meetings that I did attend, former Mayor Layton said that there is no longer parking available. We are becoming busy. There is a new staff, an entire new staff at the senior center, Charles T. Adams Senior Center. And we are starting to get an influx of members. And with that influx of members, we also host a lot of meetings where in a given day, they have between 125 to 200 people that come through that center. And there is no parking. There is no parking, and there is no parking. And for many of them, it is troublesome having to walk from other avenues to get to the senior center. And then not only that, when they do park, although they're no longer receiving tickets in front of the center, which I thank everyone for, they do still receive tickets. And so what I would like to see or know is, how do we go about getting parking that was given to us and now taken away?
What is the challenge with smoking and parking in the intermodal? City owned, is there a challenge?
It's city owned as far as I know. I don't know whether there would be any challenge.
So, I don't know what the challenge would be. If the city
Well, I know Visco, Mr. Attorney Visco, I believe he was the one that was working on it.
I can certainly reach out to Bill.
All right, and see if there are challenges, something that I'm not aware of, but I think if we own it, it's a public facility, and the city decides that it's going to be smoke free, maybe I'm missing something.
No, I don't think there are.
We'll try and get an answer, we'll decide.
Jim, is posted down or not posted?
I don't think it is posted. It's
It is not posted. It is not posted. The only thing that has happened is by the doors, Mark has posted on the ground a perimeter of no smoking in front of the doors, both entrances.
And that makes sense, because if it's not currently banned, then obviously there's no signs announcing that.
And currently, we have somebody over there on a regular basis, stroll there. Not that I want to turn them into a smoking free, but parking was originally allotted for the center? That's
Um,
taken away.
Where the city is currently parking, like, the center's here. That was.
Okay, yeah, I don't know who currently has any agreements to park there, or what the parking situation is, they can certainly look into it. The parking authority would certainly manage that lot, yes. I believe that one we own. That was the one that was subject to tonight's ordinance.
How many spots did they have, or you don't?
That I don't know, but I can, go to State Street and find out that information.
Maybe we can just check with some of the parking authorities, if there is, was an agreement in place, or, I don't know that. That was parking authority runs the parking garages, as you know, so I don't know that. Agreement in place. I'll talk to them about that. So we'll check on that, I'm not aware of it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it, take a motion to adjourn. Thank you, everyone.